everyone, welcome to my channel Knitting Books etc. My name is Cristina and today I'm here to do a tag. I was tagged by Mark from Book Times with Elvis, and this tag was originally created by Jim from Jim Books, Reading and Stuff. That's right. Okay, so let me see, I have here the prompts. So this is the A tag, and the first prompt says, A is for America. What do you consider the great American novel? And I don't consider any novel as the great American novel. As I mentioned before, I studied Anglo-American literature in the university, but since then I haven't read much American literature. But recently I read a novel, very short novel. I read it in 2 sittings, but I liked it a lot. So it was for me, it's a bit creepy because it's something that it's very possible, so it's scary. A dystopian novel which I liked a lot. But this is an American novel, not the great American novel. So A is for arc. Which character is in literature has the most interesting character arc? I have no idea, but I have many books where there are several characters with characters arcs. This is my almost finished Mammoth from March. So I will finish it this month in May, but this is such a great book and has lots of interesting characters which you also see their arc. For example, I am almost at the end of some of the characters, and an example, very easy example, would be Bella Wilfer, although she's not my favorite character, but there are many characters. Some are quite scary characters. There's one in particular which is very scary. There are so many funny characters, and yesterday I was reading this and laughing out loud, but you can't only imagine. This is a very good book. Then there's an A for Abby, which is Jim's beagle. I don't have any pets, so I cannot show you anything. Then you have A is for Australia. What was the last book you read by an Australian author? My first reaction was, oh, I have no idea, I haven't read anything. But then I remembered that some years ago I used to read some novels from romance novels from an author that she's Australian. Her name is Stephanie Lawrence, and I remember that was a series in a family and lots of books, almost all identical, but anyway, that's Stephanie Lawrence is her name, and she's Australian. A is for Austen. What do you plan to read for Jane Austen July? So the first thing I plan to read is this novel, because this is my, well, if we accept Sanditon and some other, I read Lady Susan, I didn't read Sanditon, and I didn't read another one I have there, which I cannot remember the name. But from the larger 6 novels, and known novels, this one is my least read. I think I read it twice perhaps, so I want to read it this July. And then if I have the time to read, because I have so many things already in line to read until almost the end of 2022 now. But anyway, I bought this in a second second-hand bookshop some months ago, and I would like to read it in July as well. So then, A is for automobile. What is your favorite literary automobile? I remember. I was trying to remember one. It's not my favorite, but I remember that there's a cozy mystery series which is by Elizabeth Peters, which she was an Barbara Metz, I think her name. She was an Egyptologist, but she wrote a series of cozy mysteries, which were the Amelia. It's known by Amelia Peabody series, and the setting is from the end of the 19th century to First World War, and then some time after the First World War. So in one or two of her books, I don't remember the latest books, there's a car which is an adventure itself. So, and it has some funny moments with that car. That's the only thing I remember from an automobile that has a certain role. 6. A is for anonymous. What is your favorite book or poem published anonymously? I don't have any. I know that I read some anonymous poems at least, but I don't remember any specifically, and so I don't have any favorite. 7. A is for autobiography. What was the last autobiography you read? Well, I just started reading because I was looking for other books, and then I stumbled upon this one, which is the autobiography. I have it digitally. The autobiography of G.K. Chesterton. And I started reading, and I'm still at the part where he says it's mainly biography, because he can't remember those times, but that's when he was an infant. But he describes some of the things that he describes are so funny. He mentions, for example, a scene where there's I don't remember it. I think it's an aunt of his. I don't remember. But what he wants to illustrate that people of several classes didn't like to mingle or talk to each other, and so this lady was living in a house which it didn't belong to her, and so the servants of that house were not her servants, and so she wasn't used to their habits, and the servants were not used to her habits. And so the story was that she, at breakfast, she was served some rashers of bacon, and this lady didn't like to waste anything, so she ate the 3 rashers of bacon that was served the first day she had breakfast in that house. The situation was that the cook and the cook, or I think it was the cook, I don't remember, used to eat from the leftovers of the people of the house. The lady didn't know this. She didn't know that they used to eat from the leftovers of what was served at their meals. So this lady didn't like to waste anything, so she saw the 3 rashers of bacon and ate them all. And so the servants, I don't know if it was only the cook or whatever, I don't know, didn't have any bacon to eat. So the next day they served her 5 rashers of bacon, and she again ate them all because she didn't want to waste anything. And so the servants again, and this went on. I remember that he said then it was 9 rashers of bacon, and then he finished the story saying, I don't know if the lady exploded from food and the servants died of hunger or not, but the problem is that they didn't talk to each other. So this would be very easily solved but they didn't. So but the book is very funny, very, very funny. Also, he mentions, for example, how the way people pronounce words was also very characteristic of class. And he remembers that when he was 5 years old, he threatened his mother, saying that he would say the word at for hat. So he would pronounce without the H, as if you were of a lower class. Very funny, and but again, I just started reading it. A is for 8. A is audiobooks. Do you consider listening to an audiobook as reading? So here again, it's yes and no. I agree with Mark from Book Times with Elvis, where he says that one thing is reading, one thing is listening. We in language teaching, we even talk about the 4 skills, and we have reading, listening, and then speaking and writing. So there are 2 different skills. But I again, like many people said, I would, if I listen to a book, and I have listened to several books, I mark them as read in Goodreads. What I used to read or to listen to many books which were non-fiction books. Nowadays, very often I read and listen to audiobooks. But what I do is that I do both things. Sometimes I just listen. If I want, for example, to knit, and it's difficult for me to look at the book while I'm knitting, I listen to it. But I stop very often and take a look at the book. I also do read the text and listen at the same time. I do that very often now. I found out that it's a way of focusing my attention even more than just reading the text. And for example, I have several books where in Kindle I use my iPad to read, and they have, if I have the ebook and the audiobook, I can even read and see the lines which are being pronounced in the audiobook. They are highlighted in the text. For example, recently I read the book Mere Christianity Like That. Well, I'm still reading. And what I did was, because I wanted to concentrate on the book, I was doing like that. I was listening and reading, and then when I wanted to underline, I used my Apple Pencil to underline. Every time I did that, the audio stops, so I can underline and take notes and then restart. And I do that very often with some books. So I do use audiobooks a lot. I have been using them since, I think that when Audible started, I subscribed from the beginning. I remember I was even sent a gadget which was, I don't know, to listen to the books because it was before the smartphones. So, and fun times. Okay, but then now I still listen to them, and I am a subscriber of Audible, for example. Okay, that was the last question. So I'm going to stop here until next time.